Mornings with Will on 531 VI.
It is 23 minutes past 7 o'clock. This is Pacific Mornings. Joining me, as he regularly does now, is the Pacific People's Minister, Shane Reti. A very good morning to you.
Kia ora koutou. Good morning to you too.
Look, you've just come back from a diplomatic mission, ultimately to strengthen New Zealand's ties with the Pacific, of course, visiting Tonga, Hawaii, Fiji, Vanuatu. You were part of a cross-party delegation led by our Foreign Affairs Minister, Winston Peters. As I often ask when you go on trips like these, fruitful, fruitless?
Oh, very fruitful. It was a very productive mission, actually very busy. A number of engagements every single day. And if we look at our purpose, there were several things. First of all, we're reaffirming our strong relationships to Pacific countries. And that's a history over many, many years. And we are reminding them of the strong and warm partners that we are. Secondly, there were two new governments. From when we were last face-to-face in Tonga and Vanuatu, there are new prime ministers. So it was very important that face-to-face we were able to meet with them. And then there was the opportunity with some of my own portfolios to meet with the education, particularly the tertiary education ministers, Dr. Fasi in Tonga and Simil in Vanuatu, and to particularly discuss the shared opportunities we may have in the tertiary education space. For example, they have particular interests in how we can assist them in lifting the quality of the qualifications, particularly that come from the University of the South Pacific. And I met with Dr. Powell, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of the South Pacific in Port Moresby about a month previously at a meeting of all the education ministers. And so it was very useful to be able to get a menu of some of the Pacific Island needs and how we can most help in that tertiary education space.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds promising. Look, here's where I come from, though. This was a massive cross-party delegation. Did it really call for so many MPs to go on this taxpayer-funded trip?
Look, I think by virtue of it being cross-party, we were wanting to demonstrate to our Pacific friends and neighbours that, yes, we could all have particular party positions, but on many, many things, we share one view, and we were there with one voice in person to show that. And so it was a delegation that truly needed to represent cross-party interests, and substantively it did that.
Believe we may be having connection issues. The joys of live radio. While the Minister is due to be back with us, I will continue. Basically, we're talking about the trip to the Pacific that was led by Winston Peters, of course, a few weeks back, where they went to a number of island nations in an effort to strengthen relations between New Zealand. Of course, this is in that backdrop, of course, of geopolitical tensions brewing in the Pacific. You have the United States and China, of course, vying for influence, more predominantly China in recent months. Of course, we saw the deal that was inked with the Cook Islands, and I believe he's back with us now. So, apologies.
Yeah, sorry we lost
carry
connection. I was able to hear you the whole way through, but that's all good.
Okay. Did you want to carry on, or?
So if you want to pose the question again, well, we can pick it up from there.
Sure. I mean, look, ultimately, this isn't me being facetious, but, I tend to look at these trips quite cynically, and that's perhaps bad of me, because I often think I'm being more efficient in getting bang for your buck for the taxpayer. And when I saw that it was a massive cross-party delegation, did it warrant such a big group of MPs going?
Look, I think it did, and let's remember there were MPs, but there were officials supporting MPs as well, and this was a cross-party representation, so it needed to reflect that, and this was important work. We were meeting two new prime ministers, and that always warrants a level of respect and a level of momentum to show that we acknowledge that they are new governments and that New Zealand respects that. It was a very busy, productive schedule, and it was very effective. So, yes, I think it was well suited for its purpose.
Okay, and look, key takeaways, do you think, from that trip for yourself?
Key takeaways were that we still have the privilege of warm relationships with our Pacific neighbours. very, very important, as you mentioned, in turbulent times in the Pacific. We're always wanting to remind and be part of that Pacific environment, which we have been for many, many years. We have been trusted friends and neighbours and foreign aid providers for many, many years. And we want to continue that warm relationship into the future. And you can only do that sometimes by shaking hands, sharing the breath of peace and looking each other in the eyes. We could do that over Zoom, but it's not, it can't be beaten by kanohi to kanohi. And so we did need to be there in person and to show that we're real and our statements, our substance and our policies are real.
Yeah, and look, just finally on this topic, in the sense of give us a bit of an idea of some of the conversations, if you can. I mean, look, as I highlighted, geopolitics is a major thing in the Pacific at the moment. Did that creep into conversation at all? And in terms of, is New Zealand pulling its weight there and helping to protect and secure the Pacific?
The Deputy Prime Minister led many of those discussions, and it was affirming in as much as that the places that we visited all cleaved towards us and the contributions we make, both to the region and to them individually. For example, in Tonga, we announced a collaboration between Landcare and 6 other Pacific nations to help them with crop resilience and to help them mitigate climate change. So our contributions, our overseas aid contributions are very, very well received. And so we were doing several things in this mission, announcing some foreign aid initiatives, but as well as the in-person meeting and greeting. And yes, that was well received, and our place in the Pacific region is still viewed very warmly by those countries that we were with.
Now, just moving to another portfolio. Now, of course, it's been well publicised now, the eventual merger of NIWA and MetService. Where are we at with that? And, I mean, jeepers, why didn't this happen a long time ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. The problem we're trying to solve here is duplication. Sometimes that duplication from 2 agencies produced confusing and different forecasts. And if we look offshore, most developed nations have one major forecaster, so they've reached the same conclusion. We're making good progress on this amalgamation. We anticipate having that through by the end of the year. It needs to go through due process because it is an amalgamation, but we're envisaged having that through by the end of the year and starting to gain those efficiencies that we're looking for, particularly as the NIWA, once the NIWA MetService amalgamation is done, it will then fold into the Earth Sciences PRO along with GNS, and that'll make a very powerful meteorological and natural resources, natural hazards entity.
Any idea yet, I mean, perhaps it's still early days, in terms of how much is going to be saved from this merger?
Look, the regulatory impact statement and some of the documentation around this suggests that there are millions of dollars that will be able to be reprioritized back into the sector. Initially, it will be from administrative type functions that will be duplicated, but the fiscals around this suggest that there'll be millions of dollars that can be refocused, reprioritized back into the science portfolio.
Minister Reti, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My pleasure, kia pai tō rā.